Hey guys, and now I want to talk about the biggest missed opportunity when I was living in Los Angeles. I know I've talked about a whole list of them, but I want to talk about the biggest. I mean, the most pathetic time I was not hired for anything. So it was spring of 2009. I believe it was around the time I had been a featured extra on Glee. It was around the same time my ex-best friend Chuck got handed a line on The Bold and the Beautiful because he schmoozed extras casting. And then they cut the scene. They cut the whole scene. They cut the line, and the scene wasn't even really shown close up. He was in the page booth, far away, and he put it on a resume to make himself look good. So, it was spring of 2009, I believe it was, and he calls me up. Hey, you want to go to a Merrimack College networking event in Santa Monica? It was near the Venice Beach area. So I don't think I had to drive him that night. Because I had to drive him to everything over the years. Between 2005 and 2010. So he goes, I'll meet you there. He goes, it's right down the street from where you live. Do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think I want to go to that. I wasn't really feeling up to it. You know, my luck was not that good in LA. After what happened in 2007 and leaving CBS and then struggling while he was getting handed work as a PA on Dancing with the Stars, all the extra work on The Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless now, the line he got, and then me just getting just a featured call on Glee, and then finding out that the Sons of Sam Horn were involved in it, and that was a big slap in the face after that. That's all I got, was just that. No line, no credit, nothing. Just a big slap in the face. But my whole career in LA was like that. So Chuck goes, oh, no. You're going to go to that with me? You might even get a job. Who knows? Someone there maybe might even work in television or somewhere, and they might be able to help you. So I went to the event with Chuck, and we both got there. Well, I think I got there first. And I was like, I introduced myself. There was about maybe I forget, maybe 8, 9 of us in the room, I don't know, that were living in LA at the time that went to the event. And they're like, so what are you doing here? I'm like, oh, I was a page at The Price is Right, CBS. Oh, you're that guy. And then I'm like, there's 2 of us that went to Merrimack. And then I'm like, my name is Mark. And then they're like, oh, what about that Chuck guy? I'm like, yeah, that's Chuck. He'll be here later on. So then he showed up. And then he's like, oh, I'm Chuck. You know, I used to work at The Price is Right, CBS. I got a line on Bold and Beautiful, boasting. Oh, I'm working on the Dancing with the Stars as a PA. And then I was like, talking about myself. I was like, you know, I was a CBS page. I got to work at Bob Barker's Last Price is Right. I was just featured on Glee. I think I had just been featured on Glee. I'm working in real estate because I had just gotten into real estate at the time. I had passed the test, and I was working with Sean at Metropolitan Realty and Mortgage in Westwood Boulevard. In Westwood. And then one guy there was like, oh, wow. He's like, I'm working on a new show called, at the time, it was called Slime. The working title of it was called Slime, he says. Slime. Like, you know, slime. Like Nickelodeon Slime. And he said, it's going to be a fun show. They're looking for production assistants. Would you like to submit? I'm like, definitely. So I gave him my resume. I went home. I gave him my resume. And Chuck was like, wow, that looks good. That looks good. You're going to get a job there. And, you know, all in all, waiting for all the jobs I had applied to, you know, Game Show Network Radio, MTV, VH1, Style Network, the connections my mom had, all fell through. And then this connection was really good. And in the meantime, Chuck was bashing me behind the scenes to on-camera audiences. People were Dancing with the Stars. My videos sucked. My talent sucked. My acting sucked. I was no good. He couldn't help me. And he's like, oh, this guy's going to help you. Don't worry. I'm like, what if he can't? So then I went home. I gave him my resume. He sent it to, I think, the production coordinator of what was then called, at the time, when they knew the name, Brain Surge. It was a new Nickelodeon game show. If I was going to be a PA on it, I was probably going to help test the games like I did at The Price is Right behind the scenes with Mario Lopez, George Hamilton, Todd Newton, Mike Richards. Because I know PAs did that. One of the PAs did that on Double Dare. Someone I met years later at Audience Unlimited. After they left, they became a PA on Double Dare, and they got to test the games over there. So the guy's like, yeah, I gave her your resume. She loved it. She's going to call you. Wait for her call. So this girl calls me one day in spring, maybe April or something like that. And she's like, oh, we're still looking for PAs. The show's going to film in the summer. It's only going to be a summer series. So it's going to film like a month or two in the summer. Hold on a minute, Mark. I'm going to call you back in about 5 minutes. I hang up. I wait. I'm thinking to myself, wow, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to have an in. This can help me get more work through connections. Because even if the show goes down after a couple of months or a month or two, I'll have connections that can help me get me more PA work or whatever. So she calls me back 5 minutes later. I'm sorry, Mark, we have all our PAs. Biggest letdown in all 13 years I lived in LA. I worked at The Price is Right. I was a CBS page who worked Bob Barker's final show. I got to do test shows, rehearsals with Mario Lopez, George Hamilton, Mike Richards, Todd Newton. I got to entertain audiences out in line. I almost got into UCLA for the MFA in screenwriting. I got into the professional program instead. That's what made me move to LA. I had just been a featured effing extra on Glee. And all that could not help me get that job. And I'm sure they hired people that were PAs who did a lot less than me, who were not pages, who didn't even work Bob Barker's last Price is Right. So that was the biggest letdown I ever had when I lived in Los Angeles. Because that job could have helped me get more work as a PA or even other jobs in the business.